$12 million over 4 years, $167 million guaranteed, an annual of right above $53 million. Mike T, first and foremost, thanks for taking out time today. How are you on this Friday?
Doing great, Theo. Obviously, very newsworthy day here in South Florida.
Yes. We lined it up perfectly. When we rescheduled you from Monday to Friday, we knew what was coming. Our ram in the bush, Tua's contract. And when you hear those numbers, as a guy that used to work on these deals and make these kind of things happen, what was your first reaction?
Yeah, obviously want to see some of the details on the guarantees, but a couple of things stand out to me, Theo. First of all, it's a relatively modest extension relative to the number of years. So I believe he'll be 30 when this contract's up. And really that is interesting because in some ways he's betting on himself saying, hey, I'm going to play really well over the next 3 years. So I want another big bite of the apple. If we had seen a 7 or 8 year deal, that would have taken him through, the meaningful earning years of his career. So I thought that was really interesting. And then again, the big question is on the guarantees, how much risk is there? How much is fully guaranteed? And, we'll see the details in the coming days. But look, based on how he played last year, to slot him in, where he is now, I think is pretty appropriate. And then, we'll see what happens, obviously with Jordan Love and Dak Prescott, and the market will keep evolving. But, Tua got what he, based on how he played last year, he got what he certainly earned on the field.
The 4 years, and I know you mentioned it almost as a benefit for Tua. Is that also somewhat of protection for the Dolphins? Because I'm guessing if it's 4 years, they can probably get out with no harm after 3, and that depends on Tua's both performance in December and January as well as his health, right?
Yeah, Theo, I think that's a great point, which is I'm sure both sides went into this deal, Tua thinking like, hey, I've done everything that there is to prove, put me at $60 million a year with guarantees approaching Deshaun Watson, let's say. I'm sure in the back of Miami's mind is like, look, got hurt in college. He's played one full season in the NFL. Those are just the facts. And while he played, extremely well last year, can we protect ourselves? And I think by them, as you said, probably getting out of it after year 3 gives them some protection as well.
Tua Tagovailoa inking the richest deal in Dolphins history to date. 4 years, $212 million. Joining us now to talk about it, former GM Mike Tannenbaum, NFL insider. For Tua right now, though, now that he has this locked in and we know what the Dolphins are going to be over the next, let's just say, 3 years, does this feel like a team that has any kind of semblance or route to being able to contend with some of those top teams in the AFC, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills of the world? Or do you feel like this kind of locks them into this kind of very good place where they're maybe contending for AFC East titles like I think they can do, but never really a serious threat in the playoffs?
Yeah, I look, that's totally fair. Like, they're going to have to play well in December or January to get over the hump and, to silence the critics. But I can tell you from sitting in that seat in both Miami and New York, which is, look, Tua has flaws. Those are well documented. He's a good player. And what happens is you sit there, Theo, and say, like, look, $53 million, it's a lot of money. But if he goes to free agency, someone's going to pay him more. Because someone's going to look at him and say, hey, compared to what we have, this looks really good. And now if you're Miami and you're sitting there, next offseason, who are you going to get? So I think that's why we see these quarterbacks get locked up and very few ever make it to the market, because you say to yourself, like, who else is out there to get? And that's why, like, a big factor in these deals is unless you have somebody in the pipeline, the way Green Bay did a great job of having Jordan Love to let Aaron Rodgers go, you see very few guys actually get out there.
Mike, we have 2 other quarterbacks that are waiting to get paid, Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott. Does this contract, as you mentioned, pretty modest in terms of years, kind of run-of-the-mill of the market in terms of dollar value, is this going to affect Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott negotiations?
Yeah, I tweeted about that. Like, if I'm Dak Prescott, I do absolutely zero, guys. I just wait, and I can't be franchised. I can't be traded. Assuming Jordan Love gets signed, Brock Purdy, an RFA, I don't think he's going to do anything that's going to consequentially change the market. But I think this is today obviously Tua was a winner, but in my mind, Dak Prescott was a bigger winner.
Ooh. So Dak Prescott benefits from this because it was above 53? Like, where's the floor for Dak now? And also your guy, Jordan Love, like, where's the floor going to be for him if he sits out this year and waits until next year and kind of performs at that same level in Green Bay?
Yeah, well, I think it was a big day for Dak for a couple of reasons. One is I think their market, I think Jordan Love's market, look, I think it's 56, 57 because of his age and how well he's played. But I think Dak's the big winner because I think his number begins with a 6 because there's not going to be another quarterback out there. And you could, look, it could be Vegas. It could be either of the New York teams next year that are absolutely desperate for a quarterback. It could be the Saints. So my point is, if the three of us were running a team and we needed a quarterback and it's next March, that list of options just got a lot smaller.
You just mentioned the New Orleans Saints, and I've like tried to rack my mind about what they've done over the past 2 years and what they're trying to do over the next couple. If I were to give you like a $1 million check and say you can cash this if you can tell me what direction New Orleans is actually going in right now, would you be able to confidently bring that check to the bank?
It's fair. I think what they've tried to do is keep the window open, made the transition from Sean Payton to Dennis Allen, made the transition from, Drew Brees to obviously Derek Carr, who's, let's face it, a good but not certainly a great quarterback. And I think they've tried to stay relevant, stay competitive, and never took that big step back. But they haven't taken that big step forward in the last couple of years either.
Got you. Mike Tannenbaum joining us here. We're talking Tua extension. We're talking also just overall quarterback play around the NFL here today on a Friday on Theoretically Speaking. My last one on this one, Mike T., we were originally going to talk about the Dak destinations today before the Tua deal got inked. And I'm curious, you already mentioned a couple in Vegas and the New York teams, but where do you feel right now today is most likely that he stays with the incumbent in Dallas next year when he renegotiates this thing out, or that he actually does look for a new destination based on what we've heard from Jerry Jones and what we're seeing happen with other quarterback contracts around the league?
Oh, I think he's gone. And I think it's pretty fundamental. If he was going to be signed, like, what are we waiting for here? Let him go above Burrow, call it whatever, $58 million a year, and let's go. The fact every day it doesn't get done tells me with more certainty that he's gone. And you look, if you're a quarterback, look at the Raiders guys, Jacoby Myers, Devontae Adams, Brock Bowers. Like, that would be a great place to go if you're a quarterback with a great group of skill players.
I absolutely do love that right there. Mike T., I appreciate you joining us on this Friday, helping us out with this breaking news with Tua. And again, looking forward to seeing what Love gets now from that and what Dak gets, because the market is only going to continue to climb. Appreciate you, Doc.
All right. Have a great weekend, guys.
You as well. That's Mike Tannenbaum, as always, brought to you by Eisner Ampner. And also, he's brought to you with just some great insight there. I mean, he's a guy that would work on these deals, and he gave us a lot of nuggets there. We got to get to tweeting.
Yeah, Dak Prescott's the biggest winner today.
Yeah.
Also, Dak Prescott is gone. He is going to be one more year in Dallas, and he will be in a different uniform come 2025. I love it, man.
Absolutely love that work from Mike Tannenbaum, who joined us on the Baptist Health Hotline on the other